Hi guys, Ben here and welcome to Motivation to Invest. Our mission is to motivate you to invest for your financial freedom by providing you with valuable investing tips and strategies. Due to the recent global crisis, travel restrictions have been put in place, the planet has been put into lockdown, flights have been cancelled, planes have been grounded, and thus airline stocks have taken a real hammering. So is the airline industry doomed? Or can the industry take off again and reward those brave investors who decided to hop on board? So in this video, I'm going to analyse just why Warren Buffett bought more stakes in the airlines during this latest market crash before then selling off everything. Be sure to watch this video till the end, as it may surprise you that Warren Buffett's actions during this latest crash may not be best for you to follow as an individual investor. Warren Buffett is known as one of the greatest investors of all time, and one of his most famous sayings is "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." During this time, the majority of the public were fearful and he was initially greedy, but then he went fearful. This caused a lot of confusion among many of his loyal followers, and as the world watches Warren Buffett's moves, they were surprised to see his actions this time. Buffett's investment company Berkshire Hathaway already had significant holdings in the major airlines such as Delta. Then when the market crash came, he purchased more shares of these airlines. His loyal followers and everyone who was watching him saw this and thought, okay, Buffett's invested in the airlines, I'll invest in the airlines, and everyone followed Buffett. And it was fitting with his normal strategy of being greedy when others are fearful. But then Buffett does a complete turnaround and he sells a portion of his Delta Airlines stock. Now, no one knew originally why he'd sold this stock, this small portion of his stock. And there was a lot of speculation and there was a lot of talk about exactly why he sold just a small portion of his Delta Airlines stock initially. As it turned out, and as one of the theories did suggest, the reason he only sold a small portion of his stock was to take him below the 10% ownership of the company. Because if he owns over 10% of the company, he has to report all his investing decisions to the financial authority. So it's clear that he sold this stake because he didn't want anyone to know his moves. Now initially this gave a little bit of comfort to investors because people had invested in the airlines following Buffett and actually thought, okay, well, he sold a small portion. He's not sold everything, so if he was really upset with the airlines, he would have sold everything. However, on May the 2nd, 2020, at the Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting, Buffett stated that he had sold all his position in the airline, which sent the share price plummeting even more. This was very confusing for many people which follow Warren Buffett's strategies, because he always states, invest for the long term, buy and hold your investments, ride through the market crashes, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. And at this point with the airlines, he just admitted he'd made a mistake. He admitted that he'd invested into these airlines and not fully understood the situation with them and how bad it actually was. So what does this mean for you as an investor or as a potential investor? Should you buy shares in Delta now because it's very cheap? Or should you completely avoid them and follow Buffett's move? Final answer to that will surprise you, but a good tip to begin with is to not follow other investors' moves exactly, even if they are great investors such as Warren Buffett or Ray Dalio, because at the end of the day, they are not in the same position as you as an individual investor. So I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Warren Buffett's situation and thus his investment actions is very different from people such as me and you guys. Reason number 1 is scale. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's investment firm, has a market cap of over $400 billion. Now this is a lot of capital to deploy compared to your average investor. Reason number 2 is Warren Buffett's investing style. The investing style of Warren Buffett is that he always buys very large stakes in companies. He doesn't want to be a 1% owner, a 2% owner. He likes owning 9%, 8%. He likes owning substantial stakes in multi-billion-dollar companies. For example, Berkshire Hathaway had an 11% stake in Delta, a 10% stake in American and Southwest Airlines, and a 9% stake in United Airlines. Another one of Buffett's comments which he makes regularly is that if you have researched a company in full, and you love the company, you love everything about the company, then buy the whole company. He is not the sort of investor who does things by half. He doesn't really diversify like someone such as like Ray Dalio. Buffett tends to buy a smaller amount of companies and own 100% stakes in many of those. He is not your average diversify your portfolio investor. Reason number 3 is Warren Buffett's age and responsibility. Warren Buffett is 89 years old, worth approximately $72 billion, and has the reputation of being one of the greatest investors of all time. Would he like to risk his bulletproof investing reputation on an industry so risky as the airline? He also has a big responsibility to the investors of Berkshire Hathaway, and he made a comment at a previous event that he would not care if he lost vast amounts of his wealth. However, what would destroy him would be losing other people's money, i.e. his shareholders in Berkshire Hathaway. Now at 89 years old, does Warren Buffett need the stress of having such substantial stakes in airline companies? 9%, 10% in many of the large airlines. Most of us, as individual investors, we are only responsible for our own finance. Warren Buffett is responsible for over $400 billion of other people's money. Now that is a big responsibility. So caution and risk management should be first priorities when in such a powerful position. So on balance, I believe Warren Buffett is doing the right thing for him and Berkshire Hathaway's shareholders by de-risking his gigantic portfolio. So what reasons did Buffett give during the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting? First reason Buffett gave was outlook. Buffett stated during the annual meeting that the world has changed for airlines. He doesn't know how it's changed, but he knows the world has changed for airlines. He stated he is uncertain whether Americans will fly as much as they did previously. Reason number 2 is the large amount of debt which has been racked up by these airlines. Buffett stated that the airlines will need to borrow between $10 and $12 billion each, and this would have to be paid back out of earnings over a period of time, which is not good for shareholders. Reason number 3 is overcapacity of aeroplanes. Buffett stated that even if the airlines return to 70 and 80% of their normal travel demand, they still have too many planes. And to put the nail in the coffin for airlines, Buffett also stated that shareholders could be diluted when they issue equity to raise funds to survive. This, of course, left a bad taste in his mouth, him being such a substantial owner of the airlines. Overall, Warren Buffett has made some valid points of why he has sold his airline stocks. But it must be noted that he is in a very unique position, controlling a vast amount of wealth. Thus, any move he makes is amplified. So should you, as an individual investor, consider investing into the risky airline? Well, it should be noted that they are volatile and they are risky, and they are burning a massive amount of cash. However, if you believe that in the long term the airline industry will recover and people will have to fly again and things will get back to normal, then it could be a great turnaround investment. And the brave investors which decided to take a contrarian approach to investing would be rewarded with massive rewards. So have I invested? Well, I personally have a very small stake in both Delta and Southwest Airlines. After researching Delta and Southwest Airlines with those with the best balance sheets and seem most likely to be able to weather this storm. However, it is a risky investment, which is why I have diversified my portfolio massively and only have a very small amount of my funds into these two airlines. However, I also agree with many other investors who are choosing not to board this plane. Now remember, this is not financial advice. So please assess your own investing goals, risk tolerance, and budget before investing into any stocks I mention on this channel. So do you think airlines could be a turnaround investment, and will you be investing in them? I would love to know your thoughts on the airline industry and its recovery. So please do comment those below. Also be sure to check out my previous video in which I detailed the best airline ETF fund to invest. Investing using an airline ETF allows you to diversify your portfolio with one single investment at a very, very low cost. So I'll leave a link for that video below. Want to know my favourite stock picks of 2020? Check out my playlist below, which includes many great stocks that I personally have analysed and invested in. Also, if you want a free stock worth up to £200, you can get one of those by signing up to the free trading apps using my referral link below. I recommend Trading 212 if you want to activate your account fast. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, smash that like button, and definitely subscribe. See you next time.
Coming in, flex. I just wanna win.